What's going on, everybody? It's Childish back at it again, coming at you with another video for Skylanders Ring of Heroes. In today's video, we bring our third episode, as I hold up my two numbers here, third episode for our
Let's
team
go.
building series. Once again, Legendary Andy has joined us today to help us out. We're going to be taking a look at the diminished units and which team would he recommend to go ahead and build if you have the opportunity to choose so. So, Legendary Andy, welcome back to the channel.
Thanks for having me once again.
Once again, hashtag once again in the chat down below. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Hashtag once again. All right, my man. So let us know what's going on here. The diminished effect. What's going on? I'm pretty sure people are kind of surprised right now. Just like, wait a minute, Andy, you got a boom bloom here. Why would you show that for a diminished effect? Tell us a little bit about it.
So the reason why I'm showing a bloom here and it's going to be the best option for a diminished team is because not for the poison. Obviously, it does not poison team, but diminished team. But again, like I mentioned on the poison comp, if you haven't seen the video already, go check it out.
Yep.
The copies continuous damage here, guys. It's going to be able to copy the diminished effects, going to be able to reapply it, which is the reason why Boom Bloom here, in terms of legendary, is going to be the best legendary. Now, I almost forgot to mention it, but I did forget to mention it in the poison video. But we do have a blackout. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember blackout. Or know what blackout. You can buy blackout from the glory shop, and blackout here actually does has some insane mechanics as well. He does, I believe it was poison and diminish. Yeah, skill 2, he grants beneficial effect immunity, defense down. He also detonates poison, I believe it was. Let's see here. It was activates all continuous damage on all enemies for 2 turns by consuming 2 mana when a turn ends. So that is pretty huge, but again, at the end of the day, I just want to throw it out there. Probably not so much for a free-to-play player or even like a whale to build, but I just thought that I threw it out there that we do have a blackout in the glory shop that can potentially be in your team in the future. But in terms of legendary alone, Boom Bloom is going to be your best bet for a diminished team as well. Moving on to the heroics here, guys, we're going to have, once again, as I mentioned on the previous video, we're going to have Sharpshooter. We're going to have Sharpshooter Terrafin, 1 diminish on skill 1, and if you can bring in another continuous damage on another skill, such as poison or explosion, then that's even better. So Sharpshooter Terrafin is going to be, again, another scan that you can bring to apply 2 different effects. In terms of skilling up, I will probably skill up to skill 2 first, just because I feel like it has so much potential in terms of not only landing explosion, but also doing or outputting a lot of damage, and then I will skill up skill 1. The next one on the list is going to be Airstrike here. If I can find Airstrike, where's Airstrike?
Airstrike is hiding from you. There it is.
Yep. So Airstrike here is going to be skill 1 diminish and defense down. Again, 2 birds in 1 stone. You can have it apply 2 effects in 1 skill. Amazing. So diminish skill 1 and defense down 20%. Most of these units are only 10% defense down. So 20% on defense down on skill 1 is going to be huge. On top of that, being a damage dealer is going to be a great skyline to have on your diminished team. And skill 2 doesn't have any effects, but it does have a -4 endurance down with a 1 mana cost. Being able to knock down the boss with a 1 mana cost skill is going to be huge for your team. And in terms of the passive here, it's going to be able to strip a skill, or sorry, not a skill, but a buff for every time that he inflicts damage on the boss. On top of that, grant a random beneficial effect on himself for 2 turns. So as you can see there, Airstrike here does almost like everything.
Yeah.
Diminish, explosion, knockdown, grants random beneficial effect, debuffs. Airstrike kind of just does everything. So 100% recommend Airstrike if you have Airstrike, obviously. Another one on the list is, I haven't done too much testing with, but I have seen Apophis being used.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that kind of draws me to him is because of his low mana cost. Once he procs his skill, he's able to lower the mana cost of his skills. Potentially being, I believe he could go down to 0, but again, he has a skill 1 diminish, which is going to allow him to, again, land diminish and use skills at a lower rate cost for mana. So Apophis is definitely one of the heroic units that you want to look out for. Another one is going to be Roller Brawl. Rollerball here, again, like I mentioned before, diminish and poison on skill 1. It's passive skill with a increase in attack and defense down. Again, you don't worry too much about the defense. Don't worry too much about the defense because you're going to be, 1, focusing on nuking out the boss, and 2, landing as much death as possible. So yes, you are going to get hit, but if you can, the faster you clear it, the less damage you'll take, right? And skill 2, again, is going to cast more diminish. So in terms of the best heroic units that I would use, I would definitely pick Rollerball for being a top tier heroic unit to use for a diminished team. In terms of scaling up, I would do skill 1 and then skill 2 and then eventually skill 3. The next one on the list is going to be, again, Stink Bomb. Poison and diminish on skill 1. Being able to heal down is going to be huge for the Cyclops. And whenever you get invaded, I believe if your enemy invades your attack, grants poison effect. And we know how disgusting the invade is for Cyclops. Right. You're going to get invaded, maybe not every single time, but you are going to get invaded here and there. And when you do, you're going to have the chance to proc that poison effect on him. So that is the reason why Stink Bomb is another great candidate for this diminished team. And then in terms of rare units, guys, you have like 2 units to work with. We have, or 2 units that I would recommend is going to be Nijini, skill 1 diminish down or diminish effect, critical rate down. Again, if the Cyclops doesn't crit you, he's not going to be able to do a lot of damage. Right now, the basic strat is to kill the towers first so he doesn't have defense up and crit rate up. If he doesn't have those 2 buffs, it's easily an easy win once you get those 2 towers down. So on top of that, if you land the critical rate down with diminish, it's just going to benefit you so much more. And then skill 2 is an AoE heal down, which again, Cyclops does heal, so it's just going to help you on that part.
Yeah. I was gonna say we got quite a handful. I mean, is it just me? But like we got quite a handful of options, especially in the heroic category here for for these.
Yeah,
so.
Diminish definitely has a bigger, I guess, variety of units that you can possibly use, which is a great thing because all these, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all RNG when you summon, correct? So it's great that in terms of diminished team, we have so much to work with. And then lastly on the list in terms of rare guys is going to be Crypt King here. Crypt King here is going to have a AoE diminished skill 2, and on top of that, just do damage. I'm not a huge fan of Crypt King, but I just wanted to mention that he is there if you have him. Unless you have him like super boosted, like 3 or 4 or maxed out, he does have an AoE diminished. And if you were to scale him up, 100% scale up skill 2 first, and then skill 1. Gotcha. And then, like I said, Flash Wing. We can't run away from Flash Wing. Flash Wing is always going to be there.
No, sir.
So 100% use Flash Wing.
Gotcha. And so when it comes to the light and dark units, I don't know if we mentioned it already, but isn't Nightfall another unit that could be considered for it as well? Yeah.
Yes, Nightfall is definitely a unit that you can possibly use. The only downfall with Nightfall here is that you can't use regular super boost keys. You have to use L&D super boost keys, which I don't think we can purchase or we can't get at the moment. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. Yeah. But I mean, if you want to use it specifically for the mechanics alone, he can be a good diminished unit because he also over diminished, which basically activates all diminished effects on the target. So you stack him up with a really good diminished team. He procs his skill 2. You're going to be able to detonate all the diminished effects and potentially doing a lot of damage. So yes, Nightfall is a great candidate as well.
Man, yeah, that's crazy. That's unfortunate too because I actually, when I first pulled them, I that's the downside. That's like my epic fail when it comes to getting started in this. I'm telling people, hey, focus on specific units, but in the back of my head, I'm like, oh man, I really like Nightfall. I really like Boomer. I got to build these up, and then I learned real quick that I was like, okay, Nightfall, like, he's not super boosted. He doesn't, it's gonna take a while to get that set. I just can't utilize him. So, but yeah, I guess since we have so many heroic Skylanders for Nightfall, and we know that there's some that provide a little bit of balance when it comes to poison and diminish. Like, maybe out of your list of the Sharpshooter, Airstrike, Pop Fizz, Rollerball, Sting Bomb, and Nightfall, what's your top 2? As most people will be building those 2 units alongside Boom Bloom if they had it. What's your top 2 there?
Top 2, I would have to fall back on the Roller Brawl and Stink Bomb once again.
Yeah.
Actually, Stink Bomb and Sharpshooter Terrafin is going to be on the 50-50. I have to say,
Okay.
because right now I don't know the full potential damage of Sharpshooter Terrafin.
Mhm.
If I can find him here, his skill 2 being able to proc multiple times here, 5 times on the enemy, so 5 times 36, like 150 plus attack multiplier-ish.
Mhm.
So just imagine that on the Cyclops, that could potentially do a lot of damage. So 100% Roller Brawl, just because of the passive 2, being able to dish out poison and diminish and having that passive to stack his attack, being able to nuke down the boss or do so much more damage is going to be a huge benefit to your team. And then Sharpshooter Terrafin as Stink Bomb is going to be on an even playing field here. I can't, as of right now, I can't really lean towards one or the other.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking Sting Bomb or Roller Ball as well. I mean, the Sharpshooter Terrafin was good, but since the attack goes on random enemies, I was concerned about any bosses that don't have or that do have the towers, because you don't want that damage to be lost on the towers unless it so happens that you're doing a run like C5 and always you've been recommending like, take out the defense tower, prior to going for the boss if you're trying to get that first clear or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Like I said, maybe recreated chaos this might be the unit to go for. So much potential though in these Skylanders. That's what I feel like. There's a lot of them have a good amount of value, and we just have to do some more testing. One thing to kind of mention here while we're on this topic, and we didn't throw this out in any of the videos, maybe I got to put a disclaimer, is that the recommendations that we are making, of course, are just based on our opinion and the opinion of the community that we associate with. But one thing to mention as well is if you're looking at building this team and you're not getting the results that we may be getting, you really have to take advantage of the skill ups. We don't take that comment lightly. If you are not investing the skill ups into these units to reduce the cooldown times, to improve the activation rates, to reduce the mana cost, I mean that is crucial. I remember the first time I played with a max skilled Flashwing on skill 1, skill 2 versus regular, having 4-turn cooldown on a heal versus 2-turn cooldown and then 2-turn mana. I mean, that is night and day difference as far as keeping your party alive. I was able to like catapult my progression because of that change right away. So again, don't be afraid to use your resources on those units that everyone's recommending, because again, you'll be getting a lot of them from the various stages, events, Mirage Tower, so on and so forth here. Mr. Andy, do you have any last tips, tricks, or things that you would like to mention along the way when it comes to this team?
Definitely. One last thing I think we forgot to mention in the previous one was the enchant scrolls.
We did.
So in terms of enchants, guys, if you're wondering about enchant scrolls, just do Bond, Whirlwind, or Mana. Again, just a quick refresher. Bond's going to be able, it's going to allow you to proc your Portal Master skill more often. So if you have a lot of them, just put Bond on every single unit. If you don't have a lot of bonds and you have some Whirlwind or Mana, you can use Mana on your main DPS units, because again, this Mana effect only applies when you defeat the enemy. So if you're using it on this diminished team, you can put it on Boom Bloom, Sharpshooter Terrafin, Air Strike, Roller Brawl, Stink Bomb. Not so much for a Flashwing. Again, Flashwing's not going to do a lot of damage. She's not going to be able to kill the unit. Well, most likely she won't. And then in terms of Whirlwind, guys, if you don't have Mana, you don't have Bond, you have a Whirlwind set, you can go ahead and put Whirlwind set on your DPS units. Not so much, again, for your Flashwing, because you don't want your Flashwing to proc heal twice in a row while you're at 100%. So just a little recommendation in terms of enchant scrolls. But other than that, I think that would be it.
Okay. Now we got to do it like we did in the previous video. Give me that dream team when it comes to Diminish.
All right, so the dream team, I would have to go with Boom Bloom, because of not only the poison but the copy continuous effects. And then I would have to go Roller Brawl, and then Sharpshooter Terrafin or Stink Bomb, depending on who I have. And then obviously the Flashwing. So that is the dream team right now.
And kind of throw out just my opinion on not that, but maybe like an underrated and overlooked unit. I think Pop Fizz skill is pretty cool. I think that's something that people might not be like, oh, it might not be too good, but then once they get skills in it and they start, he starts switching everything up, and I mean he got so much utility in his kit. Like it's interesting, right? I don't know.
Yeah, like being able to diminish accuracy down, lowering your mana cost so your other Skylanders can get more potential turns is going to be huge, especially for PvE content, and even for Arena itself. I haven't really seen any Puffers using Arena, but I'm sure somebody out there is going to find a way to fully max out the potential of Potfist. So time will tell.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Well, once again, thank you so much, Mr. Andy, for coming on board and doing this collaboration with me. Our third video. Holy cow! I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's been a ride.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, once again, if you guys want to show your support, the support they've been showing me over the past 6 years, all you got to do is hit up the YouTube description down below and check out the links for Legendary Andy. I will have his channel for YouTube as well as Twitch. And again, Andy, you generally have been doing quite a bit of Twitch content here. Can you do me a favor for the community and maybe drop like your kind of generic schedule, you know, when people can find you on?
Yeah, so in terms of Twitch right now, guys, I mean, if you're watching this video this week, I won't be streaming as much because I do have exams right now. But generally, I stream around 6 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Saturday. And then in terms of YouTube content, it's just kind of whenever I have the time to make YouTube content, which is probably like once every other day. So with that being said, don't forget to subscribe, right?
Don't forget to subscribe. and what was I gonna say? You got to do that, you know, like, comment, subscribe. You know, you gotta roll it out. You got to do the whole outro. But I'll save you the trouble, okay? That's going to be it, guys. It's your boy Childish and Mr. Andy with ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we will see you all in our next episode for our team building series. We're out.